All right, so today I'm going to do an overview of the midterm project. You're going to want to do the midterm project because if you do it and you get a good grade, then you don't have to actually take the midterm, which is a STAR test. So you're going to want to do the project. I promise you it's going to be easier, okay? So for today, and we're going to have one folder all week, is to demonstrate reading comprehension through a series of midterm assignments, to identify literary elements such as setting, characterization, conflict, tone, and mood, as well as literary elements within a text. To build practical skills, specifically how to utilize PowerPoint to create an effective and convincing presentation. I want you guys to learn PowerPoint and how to navigate through it, because it is something that you will probably use in the future. PowerPoint has been around for a long time. There's other presentation like Zoom, Prezi, which is a Zoom app where it zooms in and out. But PowerPoint has been around the longest, and you really need to learn how to navigate that. You can do all kinds of things with it. And then exhibit the ability to follow detailed instructions. This is key, because last time there were some things that were a little off, okay? It is due this Friday by 11:59, and I need it in its entirety, but this time I broke it up so it's easier for you guys to submit, okay? So, any questions on that so far? All right. So, the first part is a character analysis PowerPoint. Now, you guys remember the character analysis y'all did with the wheel? It's basically the same thing, but we're going to put it in PowerPoint form this time, okay? So basically, in order to demonstrate your understanding of literary analysis, characterization, and MLA format, you will complete a character analysis PowerPoint. Luckily, you have completed the character analysis before, so you will simply replicate or copy that process into a PowerPoint. But if you don't remember, don't worry. As always, I'm going to give step-by-step instructions that you need to follow on how to complete it, and also an example, because I never ask you guys to do anything that I won't do myself. So what I did is I went and I chose a fictional book that I know none of y'all will read unless it's college. It's The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, which is has one of my favorite philosophical debates in it, so I went ahead and chose that one. So what you're going to do is you're going to select a character from your book. Helpful hint: round and dynamic characters are easier to analyze, as flat and static characters may not have enough information to analyze, okay? Do you guys remember what round and flat are? All right, and dynamic and static. Okay. Then you're going to create a PowerPoint with the following 9 slides. 9. Read the requirements carefully. All quotes need to be in MLA format. You're going to use this guide. You can click it, and it'll take you to Purdue OWL to show you how to set them up to help you format your quotes properly. You also need to introduce your quotes. Don't drop them. Okay? Do you know what a drop quote is? When you start a sentence with a quote, you don't introduce it. All right? If you didn't know me, all right, and I just walked up to you and I started talking, what would y'all think?
Who are you?
Who am I, right? Why is this weird lady talking to me, right? Like, you know, I'm a teenager. Why is this old lady talking to me, right? But if I'm like, hey, I'm Ms. Garcia, I'm your English teacher. I wanted to talk to you, blah, 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 right? Now I'm giving you an entryway. You know what's going on, right? And so it doesn't seem so weird. That's the same thing with quotes, right? That's the way it is. Drop quotes are also kind of like if I'm talking to you, and then I just walk away. And you're like, well, you didn't finish your sentence, right? That's kind of the way it is. So you need to start introducing them. I want you to get used to it now so that when you get into the next classes, it'll be easy, okay? So the first slide is going to be an introduction slide, which is going to have your name, the name of the book and the author, and the title needs to be character analysis of whoever you selected, okay? And then your information in the MLA heading, which is your name, my name, the course, and the date, all right? The second one is going to be names, and you're going to include all the names, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. but you need to also realize that it needs to include an image. Then you're going to have a description, which is the physical attributes. This one, I'd like you to rely on direct characterization. What's direct characterization? Do you remember direct and indirect, implicit, explicit?
Oh. Yeah, I remember, but I don't.
So direct or explicit is when they tell you exactly what the person looks like, exactly who they are, okay? It's directly there, there's no guessing, okay? Then inner qualities, a full delineation or description of the character's inner qualities through the use of at least 3 quotes. Rely on direct and indirect characterization, and then also include an interpretation of the quotes, right? Because I can read those same quotes and have a completely different idea about it, right? I want you to tell me what you're thinking. And then, and specifically explaining what you think the quotes say about the character. Actions, some of these are gonna be paragraph form, some of these are gonna be bullets, and again, I'm gonna show you. Actions, just a full list, okay? And provide evidence in the form of quotes that demonstrates these actions. Dialogue, what's dialogue?
When they talk.
When they're talking to each other. Give an example of some piece of significant dialogue. Provide an explanation of why the dialogue is significant, and then provide a dialogue that you think the character might say. So this is kind of having you think outside the box. From what you know about that character, what do you think they might say to that? Anybody else, okay? Also include an image that's related to the character. Now, some of these, when I say image, it can be something that you draw or you can pull off the internet that maybe I think this is what the character looks like or this is what makes me think of the character, okay? So you'll see that like my character that I chose, there's different images of him that people have drawn up. I can't draw. Don't ever ask me to draw anything in life. I cannot do it. So I rely on other people. Okay?
Didn't some of the books we chose have cover art?
Yeah, and you can use the cover art and things like that too. Okay? Impacts. Fully describe the character's impact on one or more characters, and then again include an image that relates to the character. A comparison. That remember that you're going to compare the character you chose to a bird, animal, or thing, and provide an explanation of the comparison. Now this one is specific. Include an image of what you compared the character to. Okay? So if you compare your character to a dolphin, I need to see a dolphin. If you compare your character to a pin, I need to see a pin. Okay? So that's very specific. And then your reaction. This is just going to be a paragraph of what you think about the character. Now, what do my paragraphs look like? How many lines?
16
Well,
or 16.
6 lines if you're doing star. Now for me, normally I say 3 to 5. Okay? So let's take a look at my example. Okay? So, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Character analysis of Ivan Karamazov. Okay, he's one of my favorite characters in the book, and here is my Emily heading. Okay. Okay, names. Ivan Fyodorvich Karamazov, Ivan Karamazov, Ivan Fyodorvich, Vanya, Vanka, Vanechka. Okay, and this is one of the drawings that the people had of
He looks worried.
him. he has a difficult life. Okay, and the description. This would be him over here. The description is he's 24 years old. He's the middle son of Fyodor Pavlovich. He's intelligent, university education, can speak Russian and French. He's a published author. He's solitary and he's proud. Okay. Pretty simple, right? Just a picture. And then this one you can just do listing.
Is this book about the 2 brothers? Because one of them
3.
has a cross and one of them has a
3 brothers,
pig,
actually.
so.
3 brothers. So, inequalities. Okay. I say evidence because this is going to be my quotes. Okay. So notice how I introduce them. Dostoevsky states, of the elder Ivan, I will only say that as he was growing up, he was somehow gloomy and withdrawn, far from timid, but as if he had already perceived by the age of 10 that they were indeed living in someone else's family, on someone else's charity, that their father was such that he was ashamed to speak of him. So I introduced it, comma, here's my quotations, Now, if you ever start a quote in the middle of a quote, have you ever wanted to get rid of part of the quote? You use these. These are called ellipses. This means that something came before it, something came after it, but I didn't need all of that. And then here's the page number. Punctuation always goes after the parentheses. Okay, again, use the Purdue OWL, that will help you. Then here's another quote, because remember I need 3. Dostoevsky writes of Ivan, the boy began very early, almost in infancy, so they say at least, to show some sort of unusual and brilliant aptitude of learning. Again, that's on page 15. The next one, the narrator admits, Ivan Fedorovich still seems to me a mysterious person, Dostoevsky, 17. So see, since I didn't put the author here, I didn't introduce him, now you put it like this, okay? Author, page number. My interpretation, Ivan from a young age is quiet and intelligent. He does not seem to fit in with those around him, including his family. Can I back that up? Right? You can kind of see that through here, right? That's what I'm looking for. So 3, and then the interpretation. Actions, this is going to be a mix-up. So actions, you're going to just bullet point it, right? Studying, learning, publishing, debating, contemplating, loving, trusting, recovering, right? He does all of these things throughout the book. My evidence, I'm going to provide 2 quotes. During a debate with his brother Aloysia, Ivan argues, and if the suffering of children goes to make up the sum of suffering needed to buy truth, then I assert beforehand that the whole truth is not worth such a price. Okay, I introduced it, and then Dostoevsky, 245. Okay. Katerina states, I was terribly struck that Ivan Fedorovich, who is still jealous over me and still convinced that I love Mitya, nevertheless did not abandon the idea of saving his brother and entrusting me myself, with saving him. Dostoevsky, 758. Are those evidence for things that I said up here? Right? So contemplating, debating, and then trusting and loving, right? Pretty simple. Any questions so far?
How many pages are in this book?
5 something? No, 7 something? Okay. On page 235, during his debate with Aloysia, Ivan states, it's not God that I do not accept. You understand? It is the world of God, created by God, that I do not accept and cannot agree to accept. Again, I introduce it, give you the page number up here, and now I just Dostoevsky here, because this is dialogue. All right, and I tell you who he's talking to, Aloysia, his younger brother. Because Aloysia, when you read the book, he's a religious man. He wants to be a priest in the Russian Catholic Church, to where Ivan is more of an intellectual, and he struggles with religion. So significance of the example. This statement is significant because it sums up who Ivan is. He is someone who does believe in God, but is conflicted because he believes that humans can be cruel and do great harm to each other. Something Ivan might say, so this is not from the book. This is something I think Ivan might say. Ivan might ask Aloysia, my dear Aloysia, how can you accept the world that is around us and still believe the way you do? Right? Because this part right here is pulled from a timeless and famous debate that they have about religion, right? So Ivan says, I believe in God, but if the price of getting to heaven and being with God is accepting the suffering, especially that happens to children in the world, then I gladly give my ticket back. So he's saying he knows that by denouncing God, he will not get into heaven. And Aloysia tries to get him to see, no, these are just things that happen in life, right? And so they have this huge, big debate in it. So it's one of the founding arguments of religious debates, which is why it actually was a debate that got me into philosophy. So impacts. So this is going to be an impact on the other characters, not on myself, okay? Ivan impacts the other characters by providing different outlooks on life and religion. He causes the characters to reconsider their own beliefs. His actions lead people to rethink who Ivan really is, because he may say stuff, right? He may seem cold, but then he helps them out. Ivan's impact on Smirnikov, by providing him with a philosophical justification for killing Fyodor Pavlovich. Ivan also impacts Katerina by helping her realize she loves him. Okay, so again, I haven't drawn anything because Ms. Garcia can't draw. I steal pictures. So this is another picture of them. Comparison, okay? So this is the way I want you to set it up. Birds, animal, or thing, and then you tell me what you compare it to. Mine is a thing, an old book. Explanation, again, 3 to 5 sentences. If Ivan is like, I feel Ivan is like a book because both the appearance and the contents within a book. Books, especially those from Ivan's time, which is in the 1850s, had a hard exterior and did not seem that inviting. However, the contents inside them held vast knowledge. Books also help people think beyond what they know and sometimes challenge people to reconsider their long-held beliefs. Ivan is the same way. He may seem gloomy and unapproachable, but he actually possesses a great deal of knowledge and wants to help people learn and question everything around them. So do you see how I set that up? I explain the thing first, and then I explain why I think Ivan's like that. Make sense? Easy so far? Okay. You should see beautiful PowerPoints. Okay, and then finally your reaction. My reaction to Ivan is that I find him extremely relatable, even though he seems harsh on the outside. His actual intentions are always good. Especially when it came to children, Ivan wanted people to understand that they suffered and rethink how society was. I can also relate to him because he seems to be conflicted, especially in terms of religion. His struggle with accepting that man could be dangerous while still having faith is one that many people have a hard time dealing with. I also respected Ivan because he loved his brothers, even if he did not agree with them. Ivan wanted to make sure his brother kept open minds and fought to make sure Mika was safe. Finally, Ivan's love of knowledge made me truly like his character. He wanted to continue learning and was willing to debate with people in order to understand what their thoughts were. Because of this, I felt he helped balance the brothers and held them together. Okay? So, yours does not have to be this long, just 3 to 5 sentences. Okay? And to help you make sure you get everything you need, here is the rubric. You can have a total of 25 points. And it'll let you know for each slide what I'm looking for. Okay? Does that make it easier? Okay. So, I also want you to make sure you run spell check and make sure you have everything on here. If I was you, I'd write this down or I'd be checking things off to make sure do I have it all. Because if you have it all, that's 100. Right? Even if you're a little bit off on the MLA or anything like that, you're going to get 100. And then upload it for a saved grade. And if you have any questions, obviously let me know. So that's part 1. Are there any questions on part 1? All right. Part 2 is a book recommendation and book overview 1-pager. Also do it this on the same day. So for this part of the final project, you will need to provide a book recommendation and attach a book overview in the form of a 1-pager. Now, this is the exact requirements and style of 1-pager you did before. Remember, I kept telling you, you're going to want to do it. You're going to want to do it. Well, this is why. Because it's the same exact requirements for the 1-pagers before. Okay? So for the book recommendation, it's pretty simple, actually. You're just going to provide me a 3 to 5 sentence synopsis of the book. A synopsis is a summary of the plot. And a 3 to 5 sentence explanation of recommendation why you think your peers should or should not read this book. But don't ruin the book by giving like spoilers, right?
What?
You know, don't be like, oh, and just so you know, it's Smirnikov that kills Fyodorich and blah, blah, blah. You know, like, no, don't do that to people, right? And I'll just explain to you how to do that. And do not copy from the internet. No Snoop, no Spark Notes, no Cliff Notes, no Wikipedia. I do actually copy what you write and sub it into the internet to see if you guys do that. And what really gives y'all away is a lot of times y'all use words that I know you don't know what they mean, right? Things like transcend. This character transcends the epitome. No, right? Like that's not how you talk, nor is it how you write, okay? So make sure you're not doing that. That is an automatic 0. Here is the rubric for it. It's pretty simple, okay? And then the one pager, again, it's the same as before. Here's everything that's required, and here's the rubric for it. And here's an example, okay? So I provide the book title and the author. Synopsis. The novel follows the life of Fyodor Pavlovich and his three legitimate sons, Dmitri, Ivan, and Aloysia. Fyodor is a much-hated man due to his brutish ways and his tendency to take advantage of people. After Fyodor's murder, his sons are left to handle the confusion that follows their father's death. The brothers are forced to come to terms with their beliefs about themselves, their family, their religion, and with Russian society. Did I give anything away? But you got kind of an idea what it's about, right? It's about a family that's in conflict, right?
Give away that the dad died.
Yeah, but that's this, and this book. My thing too is this book is really old, so everybody knows that Fyodor dies. Well, but see, you know he dies, but do you realize that he's murdered? Okay, so that's the difference.
And you spoiled that too, I think. Well, not in that.
I want to say he is murdered, but we don't know who, right? But you end up finding out, since this is, I give little hints though, legitimate sons, what you find out is he's actually killed by one of his illegitimate sons that he has with a homeless woman that he takes advantage of, okay? So, recommendation, this novel is difficult to read. Dostoevsky in general is hard to read. However, I recommend it, especially if you like philosophical debates. If you do read it, be warned there are many characters that go by several different names, which can make the story hard to follow. As you saw on the names page, Ivan had like 5 different things that he went by, right? Despite the million names, this book offers interesting arguments about man, society, and religion. It is easy to see why the debate between Ivan, my favorite character, and his religious brother Aloysia about God is one of the most iconic religious debates in history. If you want to challenge yourself, this is definitely a book to read. Okay, so that's my recommendation. Would I suggest it to your age? Probably not, right? But to my peers, I would. Now, the one pager, again, Ms. Garcia cannot draw. So this is what my one pager looks like, right? There's my title. It comes from the Victorian period of 1879. Nihilism, the tone is reflective, the mood is curious, and I'm providing quotes. Now here, I'm not asking you to introduce it, but just make sure you put the page number and the author. Okay, the theme, nothing is more dangerous than man. My example, no animal could ever be so cruel as man, so artfully, so artistically cruel. Okay. Curious. My literary devices, symbolism and imagery. My connection. Like Ivan, I have many questions about the world and man, therefore I tend to debate my views with others so that I can gain better understanding of the world. This book is actually the reason when I switched to English, I made my minor philosophy. Because I read parts of this book in a class I was taking and we got to debate it. And the professor said, well, this is what philosophy is about. And I was like, I'm in, I'm game, right? So that's my thing. The conflict, character versus self, character versus character, character versus supernatural, character versus society. Setting is Russia in 1860. These are the main characters. And that's it. And then I have my images, okay? Not too hard. Now, I do recommend, before you attach it, because I did it on PowerPoint, okay? But before you attach it, I actually recommend that you save it as a PDF. Okay, you go to Save As, and then you select PDF. The reason I say that is because a PDF will lock your images and your text into its place, and then you can upload it. If you upload it as a PowerPoint, sometimes Schoology will move everything around and make it all kind of crazy. So PDFs or JPEG will lock your image exactly the way you want it. Okay? Any questions to that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the total points from here, the 18 plus the 25, and then I'm going to go off of that. That will be your grade. If you make a 70 or higher, then you don't have to take the midterm. Okay? Now, if you make below a 70 or you don't do it, you will take my midterm next week. Okay? So I do know that you guys have a ton of other classes you're taking midterms in. So I'd want to get this done so that I have that day to be studying for other things, right? Any questions? All right, so you have all week. This is all we'll be doing all week. And good luck.